Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our January 19th council meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Roll call.
Mr. Oja?
Here.
Mr. Menegini?
Here.
Dr. Hayes?
Here.
Mr. Gottstein?
Here.
Mr. Ball?
Could we have a motion to excuse Mr. Ball?
I'll make a motion to excuse Mr. Ball.
Second.
Motion made by Lee, supported by Chris. Roll call.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Oja?
Yes. Approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of January 5th and the special meeting of January 8th. Any additions or corrections?
The only question I had on the minutes was, we didn't include what, under 15-9, we didn't include what the contract was. I guess we don't have to approve all contracts, but there was some last-minute changes, so I just wondered if that should be included.
Mary, can you make a note for Tricia just to add the changes we had made to the contract?
With that correction, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the regular meeting of January 5th and the special meeting of January 8th.
Support.
Motion made by Dr. Hayes, supported by Lee. Roll call.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes?
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Approval manifest 2015-01 in the amount of $348,886.94. Chris?
Page 1, under general fund, the last two items, for new gun belt leathers. Is there a reason that's under general fund and not under, I would assume, police?
That was being spent out of that money he
Oh,
took in from the sale of the machine gun.
Okay. I believe that's all I had.
Dr. Hayes?
I was just wondering what the total for salt for the year is, because there was several meetings where we had expense on salt, and then there was another $3,741.03.
I'll have to provide that for you for the next meeting.
Okay, anything else?
No.
Lee?
Yeah, page 7, second from the bottom, WPPI surplus power sales, they paid us $9,300. Was that something new, or is that the one that Joe had mentioned at the last meeting, Mary, where he had sold these credits?
No, that's not the sale of the credits. That's the power that we sell to them when we have excess.
Oh, that has nothing to do with the credits. Okay, so we picked up money there, okay. And this page 8, second one down, Highline 8-foot lanyard, new employee, what's a lanyard?
Lanyard from, well, I have to double check, but typically safety.
Be a safety issue, okay, and that would be for the newest employee there?
Yes, correct.
Okay, down on the bottom of the page, under more electric heating, Fort Hydro building, replace heaters, 2,000. That wasn't budgeted, was it? I don't remember seeing that.
I'll have to get back to you on it.
Okay, and then capital improvements on the next page, 9, Tanner Gate inspection. I just kind of wondered if they would do the inspection now, or if this would have been like October or November when things weren't froze up.
That might be a bill coming
Late
through
billing
from
on
then.
it. Do we know for sure, Mayor?
We'll have to look at the invoice and see
Okay.
if there's a date on it.
Okay, that's all I have.
Okay, I only had the same question as Chris, so with that, I'm looking for a motion to approve.
Make a motion, we approve manifest 2015-01 in the amount of $348,886.94.
Support.
Motion made by Chris, supported by Lee. Roll call.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes?
Does anyone from the audience wish to address the council on the minutes, manifest, or any agenda item? If you do, please come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record. You'll have 5 minutes. There'll be a further time for comment on any subject at the end of the meeting. Okay. We have several things in our communications this evening. The first is approval, extension, winter tax payment, February 27th. This is something we typically do every year, is extend it to the end of the month of February. And that's just what we're looking to do here. Mary, is it March 2nd or February 27th that you're requesting? Because the agenda says 27th, but the actual report says March 2nd.
No, we have to collect them all day on March 2nd. 'Cause
So
the
it'll
due
be
date-
extending it to,
The due date would be on the 28th, actually, and that's on the weekend, so we will collect them all day on the 2nd without penalty.
okay, so extending the deadline to March 2nd.
Yes.
Any questions? Otherwise,
I'll make a motion that the deadline for payment of winter real and personal property taxes collected by the city be extended from February 17th, 2015 to March 2nd, 2015.
Second.
motion made by Lee, supported by Chris. Roll call.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Approval, cable TV department, digital video feed, Fox UP and WLUC. This came up for us one time before. Mr. Ball had wished to relook at this and just change how he felt on it. So we're bringing it back. Was there anything else to add to that, Ray?
Nothing else to add, other than you had asked to check in on the term, and we are in the process of separating the various terms of our agreements. This would be standalone. So you could do a 5-year agreement for this, and it wouldn't affect the other services that we get, such as the bandwidth or some of the other, the phone. So that's why we're quoting it for the lowest price, which is at the 60 months.
But then we still would only have a 2-year TV contract with them, and this would be for 5 years. So about 2 years left on the TV contract.
Right, this is just a transport, so even if you moved in a different direction with some of the other TV offerings, we checked on the availabilities, alternative to this for providing this service, and we don't have any other reasonable alternative. So it is pretty much a standalone type of setup.
How often do we have problems, other than the one football game?
Well, I saw some tiling this weekend when I was watching a football game. So I think it's, when you get inclement weather, you're going to get some of this tiling. And, we had some fog, we did have some precipitation, and I noticed it wasn't terrible, as in you couldn't watch the game, but you could see it. So I think it's on a recurring basis, definitely on a recurring basis.
And then we could assume then that we're paying for TV6 through this format, so we won't have to pay TV6 directly for their feed?
No, this isn't paying TV6. This is, we're paying basically through Charter to get that feed, because we're utilizing Charter's fiber from Marquette to Iron Mountain, and then the link between Packerland and Charter.
Charter has a direct feed into WLUC Studios, so they have a direct cable feed on their fiber all the way, like Ray was saying, all the way to Iron Mountain. Whereas we pick it up off of a transmitter
In Segola?
in Segola. And this would ensure that no matter what happened with the weather, we would still get the feed. And it would be as clear as possible that we could get, because this is directly coming out of their studio.
Well, I guess I was being facetious in saying that we're gonna get the feed, but it just gets my goat that they advertise their free TV in Marquette County, and yet we're paying them a tidy sum for their programming, and now we're gonna pay again.
Well, I think we all agreed that it isn't fair or right, but to give the quality of TV that our people are paying for, we just about have to go along with this.
to add, Chris? Okay, with that, I'm looking for a motion.
1 second, has there been any movement from Iron River? They're still along with this, Ray?
Yeah, they already approved a 5-year.
Oh, they did on
Yeah,
without
they-
us?
Without us, they approved, but they're still waiting for us because they would have to probably redo some, their agreement.
And Niagara's a no-go yet?
Niagara's no.
Okay. That's all I have.
Okay. I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make the motion that Packerland be approved to provide Fox SD and HD plus NBC HD digital feeds for a price not to exceed $500 and $450 per month for 60 months.
Second.
Motion made by Lee, supported by Chris. Roll call.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Reluctantly, yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Oja?
No. Up next, we have the approval amendment to developer of record agreement, Norway Springs. This was something we've been working on with Norway Springs Incorporated for a while now, after it was brought to our attention that there had been a donation they were supposed to be making to Parks and Rec. The agreement that's in here would finalize that, would remove that yearly donation, and would record the payments here as spelled out to make up for the past 10 years that they had not made these payments. Anything else, Ray?
No, we spent some time, going through the agreement, and, this is before council for consideration.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Ray, but originally when this company started, they were getting all their water from the spring, and that was why this deal was made. But now they're only getting like 3% of the water that they're selling from that spring. The rest is just regular tap water, purified, and whatever else they do to it.
Right, I don't, fully understand the bottling business, obviously, but there's different designations, spring water, and it's a common practice that they take tap water, purify it, and then bottle that. It can't be under the same designation. It'll say on your bottles when you look at them. But yeah, it's a small amount that they're actually taking from the actual spring. Majority of their business is through the purified tap water.
And these monies will go into the recreation department?
That's correct. They had made that first payment that first year, and then I know it's a 10-year period here, but it's $10,000. They had paid one of the 10, so it's $9,000, the remaining amount.
Are they interested in selling their building?
They are not at this time.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Otherwise, I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make the motion that the attached developer of record amendment be approved.
Second.
Just before, Grant, did you have a chance to look at it?
Yes, I did. We drafted it up with the assistance of Ray and worked it through with the terms that was agreed upon with Norway Springs and the city.
Okay. Motion made by Lee, supported by Chris. Roll call.
Dr. Hayes?
No.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Okay, next we have approval agreement for participation in WPPI Member Services Program North Star Billing System. Mr. Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This particular agreement comes forward from our discussions way back in the budget hearings, where we talked about moving towards an automated meter system, an AMI system. In order to move for an AMI system, the first thing we had to do was look at our billing software, because right now our current billing software, BSNA, does not have the capabilities to run that, and that was all part of the overall AMI discussion package. It was at that point in time council's intent for us to move forward with bringing back these agreements and moving the project forward. So this is the first part. I'm working closely with Mary and the billing department, and we worked closely with WPPI to make sure that this North Star package will integrate with our current BSNA software package. So, this is something that we work together with WPPI. They have a program by which they will provide a $25,000 grant for us to move forward. That would leave total cost of project at $44,595.60, and they agreed to run that over a 10-year period with no interest at $371.63 per month. And I did work through with Miller Canfield, and we need to work this under a service agreement. So this isn't a loan. This is part of a service agreement that we have with WPPI.
Grant, have you had a chance to look at this too? I know Miller Canfield did as to how it would affect our bonds or not. Have you had a chance to look at this agreement?
Jeremy, to be frank, I glanced at it, but because I wasn't involved in the drafting of it or the background in it, contracts are always so user-specific. And when I received this and took a look at it, I didn't get a chance to go through it in its entirety, to be frank. I talked to Ray about it, indicated Miller Canfield was specific in drafting it, working with Ray on it. Miller Canfield has a phenomenal reputation.
So you're comfortable with their work?
I am comfortable.
As comfortable as you can be with their word that it's...
With Miller Canfield, they're one of the top law firms in the state of Michigan. I have some friends and colleagues that work there as well. I think they're a very good, solid law firm. So if Miller Canfield says it's a good quality contract and they recommend a user agreement in this fashion, I would likely join on board with them as well.
Okay.
And I did have our attorney at Miller Canfield work directly with WPPI to fashion the language in the agreement.
Mary, that was part of my hesitation toward this in the past has been how would it affect in the office? Is this going to work with your stuff in the office, with everything in the office, with the billing, with the treasury, with the treasurer work, with everything?
Yeah, and this software is much more geared to the electric side of it than what we currently have. That's more geared to the water sewer side of it, so I think we're going to get a lot more information out of this software also.
Will it be okay with our electric, with our garbage, with our cable?
Yep. The flat rate fees were simple in either software package, but this one is a lot more geared and will give us a lot more information on the electric side.
So you're comfortable with it?
Yes.
So is this package gonna replace,
This will replace our utility billing that we have right now on
okay,
BSNA.
and what is the savings in that then? I mean, or there is no savings by
There's really just the monthly support,
this monthly support?
or the annual support, I think, which is about $900 that will save on that side.
Well,
Does this package have annual support costs?
Yes, I'm not sure, do you know what those are, Ray?
From my understanding, the annual support is through this,
Built right into this? Okay.
it's built into this contract.
Okay.
And that was part of our, what took us so long to go through with WPPI is we had those two main issues that we were, trying to fish out. We wanted to make sure that we didn't in any way interrupt the integrity of our BSNA system because we're very satisfied with the rest of the BSNA package. And in order for us to go to any AMI system, we had to go to a different billing package. So we spent a lot of time with WPPI and with our staff in the office to make sure that, we were comfortable to finally make the move.
So that monthly fee, that $371, does include the annual support and maintenance on the software?
That is the total, that's the total package for the project. Am I stating that right, Mary?
I'm not 100% sure that maintenance is, or that support is built in there? I didn't know.
We had talked with them about their maintenance support, and there had been some discussions down at their executive board about putting that into service agreements. I mean, they still have to have maintenance, you know, because this is a seat that WPPI actually, or we're buying into a seat. They actually hold the software, and there's a number of WPPI communities that have this support. So their original pricing for maintenance support was just shy of $10,000 a year, I believe. And we balked at that right off the bat, and we told them that was a non-starter. And so they went back and forth amongst the different communities on how to handle, you know, the support for small communities like ours. And
Well, that's what I was asking, because it is in here that member role, fourth one down, pay annual support and maintenance fees.
right, and I think what they were going to do was include that in, you know, those service agreement or service charges that we have, that we already pay with WPPI on our monthly bills. You know, when we receive those bills, it wasn't going to come out as a monthly service charge. It was going to be incorporated within, you know, what we pay.
Is that something, I mean, I hate to delay it, but is that something we can double check? Because
Yeah, we can do that.
$10,000, I mean, I remember that $10,000
Yeah.
a year
Yeah.
number.
Yeah.
and
And we balked at that, but again, I believe that was going to be incorporated within our, you know,
Can we-
monthly service charges that we pay.
We can approve it pending the clarification of that issue, I would think.
I don't know if we want more than a clarification, I think we almost want that in the contract, that the upgrades, the maintenance is included in the contract.
Personally, I'd feel better tabling it to
Yeah.
get this worked out.
Okay, we'll come back to you at the next meeting then with that clarification.
Okay, then this issue is tabled until February 2nd. Next on the agenda, we have approval, City Hall office software upgrades, BSNA. Mr. Anderson.
Okay, this is the second component of this. When we looked at upgrading the billing software, we also were looking at upgrading the BSNA software. They have they're moving away from the current database program Pervasive, which is starting to give us some difficulties, you know, within our system. And talking with BSNA, they're trying to move communities from the Pervasive to this .NET database, and you know, they're talking about you know, the support side of it, that it's going to be more difficult down in the future for having that support. So what we would like to do, or what we're proposing, is to upgrade our other packages. There's some new features within the other suite packages that they have that we're upgrading. So I think it's the intent, and talking with Mary, I think that we'd like the recommendation from staff is to let's move forward if we could with the upgrading the .NET. We would not obviously upgrade our utility billing to the .NET if we're doing the North Star. So this does not include the update to the utility billing side, but it does update the other packages that we have. And it does also provide us, you know, we talked about having some of the functionality online on our webpage for our customers, where this package would integrate into web-based. Mary, do you have anything? I mean, you looked
The
at
only
it.
other thing was, this was highly recommended by our auditor, because what BSNA has done for some of the communities is they give the auditors the .NET programs, so it's a lot easier for him to do the audit. He can actually just take our files, and instead of us running him reports and stuff like that, there's a lot more that he can do because he has the software.
I have some questions, and I apologize for bringing these late, because I didn't get a chance to look at this until today, but the conversion from the Pervasive to .NET, .NET's not a database, it's a program. And there has to be a replacement for that database, which would be SQL Server. And they do list that under the requirements. You know, when I tried to look at that link, it wasn't available on their website. Did they say anything about purchasing an SQL Server license? Because those can run several $1,000s additional if you already have them.
They did not.
Okay, because I'd be, because you need a database. .NET's not a database. So I don't know if they were assuming you already had that. But you may want to get some clarification on whether.
We'd have to ask that question of them.
Yeah, because it's not a, I mean, there's a free version of SQL and there's a paid version, and the paid version can run several $1,000s if you have to get that. And like I said, I couldn't look at the documents that were in here, the links weren't valid. But that would be something to look at because it will cost additional money.
Is this something that has to be settled tonight, Ray?
Nope. We can also table this one.
Table this one then till February 2nd as well. To get clarification on Chris's questions.
And, while we're still on it, what department would this be charged to, or would it be split up?
It's split up. We handle all of our office service, you know, through the transfer, through the split up, so
And this was budgeted?
this is
If I
budgeted.
remember right, it was, okay.
Okay, last thing we have on the agenda this evening is the approval of ordinance 415. It's a repeal ordinance of ordinance 207 and 269 and replace with ordinance 410. Mr. Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is something that came up when our ordinance 410, which was approved in May. We went to codification with Municode, and they noticed that there wasn't a repeal and replace provision within 410. We looked at 207 and 269. As you can see, the dates on them, 207 is from 1951 and 269 is from 1974. We did a quick review of both those old ordinances along with 410, and what we wanted to keep, obviously, is in 410, so we need to repeal 207 and 269 to make sure that there's no, that we have complete clarity.
And 410 was our right-of-way ordinance,
That is our right-of-way ordinance, correct.
and then the 207 and 269 dealt with snow removal and snow placement.
Yeah,
Primarily.
primarily dealt with that. There was some real old language in 207 especially, and blocks, actually in both 269 and 207, that really was ineffective for today, so.
And this would make the ordinance that we've been talking about and talking to business owners and residences about
Yeah,
the only snow removal ordinance.
that's correct. And really, it's, the provisions in 207 and 269, they're the same basic provisions. It's duplication in a lot of respects, except for, you know, on the Main Street, and I want to say it was in 269, where they talk specifically about businesses along the Main Street. So it really was ineffective as to what we do today.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Otherwise, I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion, we repeal ordinances 207 and 269 and replace with ordinance 410.
So approve ordinance 415. That's what this is.
Right.
I'll support.
Motion made by Dr. Hayes, supported by Lee. Roll call.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Okay, that's our business this evening. Does anyone from the audience wish to address the council on any subject? If you do, please come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record. You'll have 5 minutes. Okay, Lee.
Nothing.
Dr. Hayes.
I was wondering how the skating rink is doing. Haven't had a chance to go down there.
I think it's doing well.
Are people using it, or?
People are using it where it's open, and I haven't heard anything negative, so that's always a good sign.
From what I've heard, it's icy there.
Slippery.
Anything else?
I would again like to see a cover on the skating rink so it'd have a longer life, and then we'd have a pavilion there that could be used for summertime activities. I guess that's just a wish list of things I'd like to see happen down there. We've talked about putting camping down there, and that could also be incorporated in that.
Anything else?
Nothing else.
Chris? I got nothing tonight either. Mary? Grant?
I'm not gonna slow us down, no?
Ray?
I don't have anything.
Okay, with that, we're looking for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
Motion made by Chris, supported by Dr. Hayes. Roll call.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gotstein?
Yes.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. George, you've been over a half hour.